Hello everybody, welcome back. If you play in a rock band or in any kind of music that features distortion as a big part of the sound, you might have wondered, why would I ever bother learning all these complex big chords that my teacher always says I should learn? Because when it gets down to it, you turn the guitar up and you plug it into your Marshall and you hit a big chord with a bunch of distortion on and it sounds like crap, right? Major 9, major 7 sharp 11, diminished, forget it. And it is true that with a certain sound, these big chords simply don't sound that great. And then when you go out with your band or you're playing covers and you realize that most things are power chords and major and minors, then you get kind of discouraged and maybe think that you should be spending your time doing more useful things. But I'm here today to tell you that these big chords are incredibly important. Not because you'll be necessarily playing them all the time, but because they will present to you a full self-contained sound at a glance. And that's the big idea behind these big chords for those of us who play with a lot of overdrive and distortion, is not necessarily to be playing them a lot, but to be learning them, to learn the sound that comes with them. And then when it comes time to improvise or to write your melodies or to do whatever it is you do melodically on the guitar, you'll have all these different colors available to you that you'll be able to pick just like that because you're used to hearing them in one compact, condensed form, which is the chord. So today I'm going to show you a little bit about this, and it's a big subject, it's complex. I don't know if I'll be able to explain it as clearly as I would like to, but hopefully I'll be able to help you out and it will give you something to chew on. So I've recorded this very beautiful loop of a C major chord. There you go. And if I play a simple C major scale over it, you'll hear how certain notes sound very at home and others feel a bit out. Okay, so let's check it out. This is a bit off, right? This is a bit off too. A bit weird. Definitely weird. And then home again. You hear this note, it simply doesn't feel right. That one there, that D, really wanted to go back to C. So that's what we're faced with when we start playing the guitar. We're faced with certain notes that want to do certain things, and usually, not always, but usually when you have a chord, the notes of the chord are the ones that when you play them in a scale will feel like they're at home. All the other ones will feel a bit out. Take this to the extreme and we only play music that has major and minor or even just power chords, then our ear is only used to hearing the root, the third, and the fifth as proper notes, and we have a hard time taking advantage of all these other wonderful colors that are there in the scale. And so today I'll show you how these big chords can help you overcome that. So let's get back to our C major loop, and now I'll play certain notes that don't quite feel right. As you first hear them, you'll notice they're a bit jarring to the ear, but as I keep playing them, you'll notice how their sound kind of melts down into the sound of the chord. You start to accept them. And the reason is that I have full confidence in their sound, and that's contagious. So when people try to play more interesting things, but they don't have a good ear, or maybe they don't have that much of an expertise on the guitar yet, the listener feels that, and then it sounds weird to everyone. Really great players, they can play the most strange things, and you kind of believe them. So that's the trick. Let me play a few of them, and you see what I mean. Maybe now you start hearing it. Let me give you another one. Your ear wants this, but we're not going to give it to it. Right now, maybe it starts to get to feel like a different color of the same chord. Let's do another one. Wait for it. Maybe now you start to accept it a bit more, okay? Hopefully you'll notice that. You'll notice how the more you hear it, the easier it gets. What is the problem here is that when you play and you improvise, you can't spend 5 seconds or 10 or 15 seconds doing this, hoping that the audience will fall in line behind it. And so what we want to do is understand it right away. If we understand it right away, we'll know how to manage it, how to play it, and how to basically, it's a bad word, but how to convince the audience that that's exactly the note we wanted to play. And how do we do that, you might ask? Well, of course, with the beautiful big chords we talked about. Let's take a little example here. One of the last notes I played was this F sharp, which is kind of out there for C major. It's a kind of a Lydian sound, but it's really hard to manage sometimes in the beginning. And so if I play it again over the chord, it doesn't feel like much, right? Yes, you want it to start moving. So let's try to add it to a chord. There's a wonderful chord called the C major 7 sharp 11 chord. I've been talking about it actually pretty often in the last few videos. And it sounds like this. It's a beautiful sound. Listen to it very carefully. Now let me play the loop again for you. Same F sharp and the B. Now these are two of the strangest notes out there, but now I'm sure they felt quite good the second time I played them. The first time, when you had never heard the major 7 sharp 11 and you were just hearing them over a C major chord, I played both of them and I'm sure you didn't like them too much. But now that you've heard it, when I went back to C major and played them, they felt like home. Let's do maybe another example. Yeah, let's try with maybe the A. The major 6 in the key of C major, and while certainly not one of the weirdest ones, is still pretty out there for people who are not used to its sound. And you'll notice when I play it, it's neither here nor there, rather be here or there, right? But this sounds a bit strange. Okay, let me play it an octave higher. Same sound. What if I told you that there's a chord, of course, made up of a C major triad plus a sixth or an A, and it's called C6. And it sounds like this. There's a voicing like this. There's another one here, a bit brighter. There's really many of them. There's inversions. A beautiful sound, right? And now that you have that in your ear, let's see it over a C major chord. Okay, you notice how I can base my melody basically around the A with great effect. Of course, in actual use, you won't be strumming these chords every time you want to play a strange note. No, certainly not. What you'll do is you learn the sound of these chords, you interiorize it, you internalize it, and then you'll be able to access those sounds in a competent, confident way, simply by the way you phrase, because once you understand the sound of the chords, the melody is basically the same thing. What's the difference if I'm playing this chord or if I'm playing this chord and I'm using these as melody? The sum is the same thing. It's still a C major chord with a sharp 11 and a major 7th. So let's talk about one more thing before we close this video, and hopefully it's not too much for you. If it is, maybe watch it again a couple of times and I'm sure you'll grasp the whole thing. Let's say now that I want to go way out there. I'm gonna pick a very, 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 very strange note, and I won't be giving you the chord. I will just show you how the strangest note can be used very beautifully as long as you understand the underlying sound of it. So let's try with C major again. And this is the note I'm gonna use. Ready? Probably the most horrible sounding note out there. I can play an octave higher, lower. It's really terrible, right? Well, maybe not. Let's see if I can figure it out. not be able to stay here for an hour, but look at this. Even making it as hard as possible, just simply dumbly doing this, you can still figure it out if you know that there's a sound underneath the previous one. And this can be taken to quite the extreme actually. We won't go through all the chords of course, but you can certainly mix and match the strangest notes out there. There's flat 6s and the flat 7 along with the sharp 11s, and they're all part of the fabric of music. They're just not part of the chords you know. They're not part of the harmonic structure you're used to. That's why they sound so weird in other places. But if you understand the structure below, then you'll be able to. Let me just give you a very quick example, some strange notes. For example, the sharp 11 with the flat 7. If I don't give you any previous warning, they sound like this. Not the most beautiful thing in the world, right? But if I listen to them as part of a chord, even though a bit of a strange one, let's play it maybe like this. Check this out. We'll play this actually over a C with my root here. Now that I have this sound in my head, I certainly won't have any trouble. Figuring out something melodic. That doesn't sound too hot though, but you get what I mean. So where do you go from here? Maybe you've just realized that you should know all these beautiful chords and you don't know them, so where do we start? Well, if I may suggest one of my own videos, it's here. I know it's scary long, it's 9 hours, but you certainly don't have to go through it all at once. In this video, I cover every single chord. I give you the formula. It's all in the key of C. I show you a bunch of fingerings for each one. I even go into some of the scales you can use. So if you digest it slowly, I think it will be one of the best resources. You can, of course, buy any good chord dictionary, any books that will cover that also. Maybe a little bit of music theory. That's why I'm suggesting this video, because it has a little bit of everything, and then you can expand as needed. So I hope I've awakened a certain curiosity on your end about chords, and certainly it will be time well spent if you decide to go ahead and study them. Thank you so much as always for being there. If you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing so. We're right there, almost hitting 30,000 subscribers, so thanks again. If you enjoyed the video and learned something new, maybe give it a like, and if you'd like to check out some links below, you can help out the channel and help me make more of these videos. There's all kinds of stuff below, and some of them won't cost you anything. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.